Hello everybody and welcome to not a review, not a scripted video, just something I saw and I want to make a video about it, so let's just do this. So today or yesterday, I found it today, so that's why I'm making the video. Koei Tecmo trademarked a bunch of Muso trademarks, I guess, yeah. There's 5 I found and I will read them all out, but we're going to focus on one and it's in the title so you know which one. So we got Gakuin Musu, or Academy Warriors, Tensei Musu, Reincarnation Warriors, Musu Play, Warriors Play, Musu Mode, Warriors Mode. I don't know what much of them could be. The Academy Warriors could be like Warriors characters at school. It's like a slice of life dating sim. I don't know. But the last one, and the one we're going to focus on today, is Isekai Musu, or Isekai Warriors. Yeah, so in my head what this is, you know Isekai Quartet, and there's a big old Isekai crossover? That, but a Warriors game. If you don't know what a Warriors game is, there you go, there's some, wow, look at that footage of a Warriors game. Ain't that great? But yeah, what I'm going to do about this video is, it's worth mentioning before I go much further, the trademark doesn't mean it's coming anytime soon really. For example, last year in January 2018, they trademarked Baseball Musu, Tennis Musu, and Soccer Musu, and nothing's come of them, as far as I'm aware. So, just because it's been trademarked doesn't necessarily mean there's something there. But I'm going to make this video anyway. So basically, what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to go over, I guess, Dream Roster. Dream Roster, I'm going to give reasons. I'm going to have rules, because I'm not just going to... Dream Roster is, oh, every Isekai character ever. You know, that's the Dream Roster. Just have everyone in there. But I'm going to take some things into consideration. First of all, I'm not having more than 4 characters per series, because I don't want to overstock a bunch of things. Secondly, I'm going to take into consideration, like, movesets and what they could do and how they could do it. So some series, while popular, might not be as suited for a Warriors style game, and there's one in particular that is in here, but it's a very dubious one. I can understand people being mad about it. And there's other things, and I haven't seen every Isekai, that's another thing. I think there's one in here that I've not seen, but I had to include it because there's a very unique character. You might know which one I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, let's begin with the first. Let's start with the Isekai Quartet lads and lasses. Let's do that. So yes, the Isekai Quartet lads and lasses, as I just said. We'll begin with Konosuba, because I think that's a good place to start. Really, you gotta have all 4 of the main characters. You gotta have Kazuma, Megumin, Aqua, and Darkness. You can't really pick 2, pick 3, pick 1. They've all got to be there really, because it doesn't really make sense otherwise. So let's go by them, go through them bit by bit, and talk about what their moveset could be and all that. Should also mention before we get into that, I have no idea what the plot of this game would be. They'd make something up, they all somehow end up in the same world, and they all go back at the end and they lose their memories. There, done. I solved your world problem, your story. So, let's say, we'll start with Kazuma. His moveset, I feel like, would be a standard. He's got his sword and he's got his bow, so you can work both of them into the moveset. Special attacks, you've got steel, you've got like drain touch, you've got a bunch of stuff you could use for his moveset. He's pretty, he's honestly one that would be one of the more quote-unquote boring, or less flashy, I guess is a better way of putting it, less flashy characters to play as, which is weird coming from Konosuba, but I'm sure the others will, set it up. Yeah, that works. But anyway, yeah, Kazuma, he'd be pretty standard. He'd be maybe the quote-unquote main character that the story would follow, because I feel like his moveset would be easy to he wouldn't have too many tricks to his moveset. The stealing, maybe you could steal items and reduce enemies' defense, maybe. There's another thing you could possibly do. Okay, Kazuma done. Aqua. We'll go on to Aqua now. She's obviously going to have to do heal and probably manipulate water, and she could probably smack things with the staff as well. Yeah, I feel like I think in her specials you should incorporate party tricks somehow, so she does a party trick and then causes a tidal wave or something. These games are over the top, so it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly how it is in the show or the whatever. So yeah, I feel like she'd do a party trip and then there's a tidal wave for a special or something. I feel like that'd be good. Her regular attacks maybe just shoo, there's a water there, shoo, there's a water over there, and spinning water, stuff like incorporate water because that's goddess of water. That's her thing. Who's next? We'll go Megami next because I think hers is pretty self-explanatory. Her moveset, I actually did think about this because I was like, okay, how would you work it so that she doesn't go down after doing one explosion? So for her regular attacks, she's just smacking things with the stick. Basically, that's what I could think of. Maybe the cat gets involved. I can't remember its name. There's a lot of series in here. Maybe the cat gets involved as well. But basically, physical attacks for the main thing. Then her special attack is obviously the big explosion. And then after doing an explosion, it's part of the special. It's a part of an animation. She goes down, and then someone drops an MP potion. You see an MP potion get dropped on her, and she's back up again. So you can continue playing. That like, it's the way to get around the people who would complain that it's not accurate to the show. I guess I think that's a pretty good idea because you got references. Maybe the MP potion could reference a different series or something, or they could do something with Drain Touch. There's a lot of things they could do so that she gets back up after using the special. But finally, the one that I honestly had the most trouble, thinking about a moveset for Konosuba anyway, is Darkness. So, in the lore, I guess, of Konosuba, would have really good defense and everything, but she can't hit anything. And I was like, okay, that wouldn't translate too well to a Warriors game. So the thing I thought of, and it's not too good an idea, and I don't know how they'd managed to do it, is she doesn't hit any enemies. She'd like hit the ground, and then maybe rocks would fly out and hit the enemies. So she's not hitting anything herself, but things are hitting the enemies. I don't know how they do it. The Warriors games aren't really set up for, that kind of thing. It's usually just big old groups and you just smack them. It would be very difficult to do. But that's an idea if they wanted to try and keep it in. Honestly, though, I think you just have to have it so that she hits things. But as for the rest of her moveset, big old strike. Maybe she could have a mechanic where as she takes damage, she gets more powerful to, put the masochist thing in there. But otherwise she'd play just as, I think, a regular swords person, but maybe with the missing thing. Or maybe it looks like she's missing. We'll try and work that in somehow, even if she's hitting things, is what I'm saying. The sadist thing I just came up with. The sadist masochist thing. Takes damage, she gets powered, maybe there's a special ability or something. Special attack you could work that in. Maybe she gets swarmed, and then she's does like a link spinning attack in her special attack. Maybe. But yeah, that's just the first four. This is basically just me spitting ideas and hoping that someone listens. So let's get on to the next series. Alright, the next series we're talking about is the Saga of Tanya the Evil. Not a series I'm too familiar with. I have watched it, and because I've watched it, I was looking at all the characters. I was like, well, how would you do this? Because their movesets aren't that different. So I came up with two character ideas for this one. We'll start with the more obvious one, and then we'll get on to my second idea, which, I'm less sure about. It was kind of like how do I work? We'll get there. So the first one is obviously Tanya, is the first character you put in. The fact that she's short, I feel like you have her flying all the time, and so she might have increased movement speed or something. You have the gun thing, so maybe she's more ranged, but it's only slightly more ranged because that's just how the Muso games work. You don't have a super ranged character. It's very minimal, the changes. But yeah, the flying thing, special wise, I'm not too sure. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with Tanya, but you could work something in with the flying thing. Maybe she zips through attacking things. Maybe it's a big explosion with the magic thing. There's a lot of things you could do with Tanya, but I'm sure there are people that know more than me, and that's something. My ideas for this may not be the best one. Okay. Other than Tanya, the other idea I came about is just a soldier from her battalion. Let me explain that. I'm going to need it. So there's a lot of soldiers in the battalion, look at Isekai Quartet, but they don't really have unique movesets. You know what I mean? They all have the same equipment and everything. So does Tanya, but Tanya's got a different build. She's better than them, basically. The rest of the battalion are, more similar in style. So what I was thinking, you have the same moveset for all these characters. It's just different costumes for the different members of the battalion. Just so you can involve them all in the story without having a load of different clone characters. You just have them be one character, sort of like in Smash Bros. You've got Olimar and Alf, and you've got Bowser Jr. and then all the Koopalings. They're one character, but they're just costume changes. Do something like that with that. As for what the actual movesets would be, I can't do anything too unique. It'd just be gunshots, a little bit of flying about. Special would just be a big shot, maybe. As I said, Tanya, not my strong suit with these series listed. I think I've listed about 10 or so series, so there are going to be some that I know less than others. So this is definitely one of them. Third series we're going to look at, and the third of the Isekai Quartet, is Overlord. Now, you remember that I said that rule at the beginning, only naming four characters from each series? This is why, because Overlord really could have had all the Floor Guardians, you know, plus Ainz, plus alternate forms, plus some of the Pleiades. You could have put a lot of Overlord characters in here, and it would have made sense. You know, they would have been suitable for the game. They could make an Overlord Warriors game on its own, and that would all make sense. You could do that. So for the purpose of this, I've picked 4, and I'll go through them one by one. Let's start with Ainz. He's the most obvious one. Balancing him is the thing that's gonna be a challenge, because his thing is OP, so you've got to make him OP, but you've also got to somehow balance him so he's not ridiculously OP, so no one would ever play as the other characters. Special-wise, you could do that summoning thing from you remember the end of the anime, the bad CG Black Beasts thing? Maybe do that, because Warriors games have a lot of enemies on the field. Yeah, I think that would work, actually, because you need to sacrifice a lot of things. Big thing for that. Maybe, this is just a maybe have some sort of form change with, you know, Ainz, Wizard Ainz, and then Momon Dual Swordsman. Maybe, but honestly, they could be 2 separate characters. I haven't included. Momon's not a further character, but you could do something with that. His regular attacks would just be like magic. They'd be powerful magic, but, you know, magic casters, you know, typical abilities like that. I think the difficulty with him is balancing. His moveset really speaks for itself, I think. If you just watch the show, you know what he can do. You can work that into a moveset somehow. Okay. Second character is Albedo. So, honestly, I was looking through the anime, I was like, she doesn't do a whole lot, but she's got to be in here because she's a main heroine. She's the main heroine, so she's got to be in here, despite the fact that she doesn't do too much. I think she gets involved in maybe 1 or 2 fights over the course of the 3 seasons. But, yeah, so I looked some things up. She uses an axe, and I was like, axe wielders. I was looking through the other things. I was like, nobody uses an axe. Okay, that's a good start. So uses an axe. Even if you just hits things with the axe for basic attacks, that's pretty standard. For a special attack, I'm not too sure what they could do. Like, I don't have concrete ideas for all these characters, but for a special attack, there's probably something you could do. Maybe do something with her, like, crazy lust face at Ainz. Be like, for Lord Ainz, I'll kill you all, and then do a massive attack or something with a close-up. There's a lot of stuff they could do, and like I said, Overlord's another one of them. I'm more familiar with Overlord than Tanya, but I'm still not an expert. So there's a lot of stuff they could do. I think you got multiple costumes with like a regular costume, then an armored costume. You could do a lot of stuff with that as well. But who's next? I've got to check my notes. There's a lot of characters. Shoutir is next. This one, I think Shoutir is easier to do than Albedo, just because we have that whole arc, I guess, where she fights Ainz. So we know a lot of what she could do from that. The vampire thing, I feel like they should work that into the story as well somehow. Well, I'm gonna lay down a little spoiler for later on. There's other vampires on this list. So yeah, I think Shoutir, again, her moveset really speaks for itself. Maybe you could do some blood-sucking thing, or maybe she turns into that like ugly form for her special attack and just wipes things out. You could, for her regular attacks, you could use the nail. The nail's pretty obvious. If you don't want to have her fully armored, just do the nail to swipe enemies. That might be more interesting, actually, because it's more unique, you know, the nails, the flicking the nails. I'd actually like that idea more. I think we should do that. Maybe do some sort of blood-sucking mechanic because she's a vampire, but that's more questionable, I think. But yeah, last Overlord character I decided to put in was Demiurge, okay? So that excludes, just from the Isekai Quartet lot, that excludes Cocytus and the twins. I really wanted to put them in, all 3 of them, but I was like, I think Demiurge you can have more possible not just moveset wise, but in the story, I feel like there's more you could do with him. You know what? The other three characters, they could be DLC. They could release an Overlord DLC pack with the other three characters later on. There, there you go. I worked them in. But no, seriously, Demiurge, he's got his wings, he can fly. I feel like they should have some sort of flight mechanic if they made this game, because you got the tiny people that can fly. There's people coming on later on that are able to fly. I think maybe that would be worth it. Sort of like, I'm thinking like Fire Emblem Fire Emblem Warriors. There's like the Pegasus units that can fly over certain gaps. Something like that they could work in flying with. Demiurge, oh, the good thing about Overlord is a lot of it, the moveset speaks for itself, as I say a lot. The basic attacks typically would just be smacking things, like, and then special attack, I don't really know what Demiurge's special attack would be. He's the one I struggled with. I brainstormed, I was like, I don't know what it could be. So, if you got any ideas for Demiurge's special attack, leave them down below, because I'm very interested in what people have to say. But yeah, I wanted to put more Overlord people in because they're right for this kind of game, but I restrained myself. The final of the Isekai quartet, I guess, was ReZero. Now, ReZero, honestly, was half easy, really easy, and half really hard to pick characters. And you'll see why when I get later on. But let's start with everyone's favourite. Let's start with Rem, okay? Rem, you got the ball and chain. Maybe you could work the demon mode in where there's a power up but it reduces your damage or something. Maybe you could work in some kind of, like, the demon mode, you lose a little bit of control, or your attacks are more wild, and maybe you can damage your allies as well, maybe something like that. There's a lot of stuff you could do special wise. Just a big old demon chain swing around attack or something. There's a lot of stuff you could do. Maybe get oh no, actually I've got a better idea for that. We'll save that for later. There's a lot of stuff you could do. A lot of these characters' movesets I feel like really do speak for themselves. I'm going to say it a lot. Put it in the comments. This video speaks for itself. There you go. But yeah, she is a fit. Now, next up is Ram. Similar problem. She's got a wind magic as a main source of attack. But I feel like, again, with Rem as well, and Ram, you could maybe work in the main thing a little more. Maybe they hit them with frying pans or something. Be a bit more comedic with it. You could do something like that. Ram's got a wind magic. Maybe you could do like Decapitation Wind is like her special, where it just whoosh, clean through people's heads. I don't know how violent this game would be because you've got so many contrasting Isekai series. But there's a lot you could do. And yeah, maybe Rem and Ram might be one character, and one would do that, and then the next move would be the flail and then wind and flip. Maybe they'd be better as one character. I'm not too sure. They could be either or. Next up, third character for ReZero is Amelia, which ice magic. Special, you involve Puck in it somehow, and maybe he freeze kills everything in front of you or something. The ice magic like beams, that's a just your basic attacks, just pew pew like that. I'm trying to, like, what's the word? Have a lot of variety in the movesets. So like, it's difficult. There's a lot of stuff you could do. I struggled a bit with Amelia because I'm like, well, she can shoot ice, but you got to make that interesting, and they're pretty good about doing that. But that's a thing. Okay, fourth character I picked, and you may notice somebody is missing, and that's Subaru. He is the fourth character, but I've got like a question mark next to his name because I thought, oh well, he can't not be in the game. I was like, he's got to be there. But then I thought to ReZero, I was like, he doesn't really do anything particularly offensively. I was really trying to think, like, would he just be useless with a sword? Would he use that little fog magic that doesn't damage things? How would you work that into a warrior style game? And the answer is, I couldn't think of a really good excuse. Like I said, I thought of maybe he's like swinging a sword wildly and he's not very good, and it's really clear he's not very good. But maybe the thing I thought of just a minute ago, maybe Patrash gets involved and he's riding the land dragon. So instead of him, on the ground fight, maybe he's on the land dragon and he's just running things over, and the dragon is doing most of the attacking, but he's there because he's the character. That's kind of what I thought of. Maybe you could do something with, like in ReZero at the end. So there's a spoiler warning. I'll say it now. Every time I talk about a show, if you don't like it, wait for the cut, I guess. They could do something with Julius where like he is his eyes. Maybe they could do some sort of tag team thing with them. But yeah, Subaru I really struggled with trying to think of a moveset. So if you've got any ideas for Subaru's moveset of what he could do, I'm glad to hear it. His special is pretty easy. He just says the "I'm going to return by death" and then it kills all the enemies. Maybe the the witch's hand. I think that's the thing that I feel like is a good idea. Other than that, his basic moves is what I struggled with. So let me know what you think about that. Fifth series out of the Isekai Quartet. Now there's quite a few more on these, but those four, the Isekai Quartet, are the ones I focused on originally because I'm like that's an easy focus. What are we on? Fifth series, Rising of the Shield Hero. Again, I had the similar problem with Overlord. I had to cut so many people from the from the list because I was like, you could. I think I added like four more people that could have been characters. Probably there's more than four. Like, every character again is suited for this sort of game. So like, anyway, first character we're adding is Naofumi because obviously he's the main character. The basic attacks, just shield bashes, stuff like that. He'd obviously have better defense than other characters. Special attack, you got your Iron Maiden and that. And I think because he just uses a shield, I was looking through. There are characters in here that use shields, but not just a shield. I think just the fact that he just uses a shield, you can make a unique moveset. That's the thing I tried to look for with all these characters. I was like, right, let's try and make these movesets unique and not have 50,000 sword wielders, Or if they do have a sword, have them use swords in different ways. But yeah, Naofumi, shield, the Iron Maiden or the Blood Sacrifice would be his special. I think that's pretty obvious. And then the regular attacks are just shield bashes and things. Maybe you could incorporate the shield switching. Maybe each shield has like different stats. Like one's slightly better offensively, one makes your movement speed higher. Better all in on defense. There's different things you could do, sort of like Shulk from Smash Bros. Yeah, I think that could work. Number 2, obviously, Raftalia is the second one. Now she was the one going through. She's probably the one going through the list who would just be basic swords fighter. So you got Kazuma who's like basic all-rounder, I guess. Raftalia is like sword fighter. She swings the sword. Special would be a bigger swing of the sword. I couldn't think of anything too unique. Maybe you could incorporate the magic sword somehow. Maybe she can drain magic or drain enemies of magic, but that would still have to kill them. So maybe they just pass out as opposed to being knocked out. Maybe it works separate or differently on like boss enemies. You hit her with the magic sword and they they get weaker. There's a lot of things you could do with it. I struggled with her because she's just so base swordswoman, but I'm sure there is some unique things I'm forgetting. But anyway, let's get on to the next one. It's Philo. Philo is number 3 and she's the final one from Shield Hero. Yeah, I wanted to put Melty in, I wanted to put the other heroes in, but I was like, again, they could very easily be in. And honestly, I don't think there's any bowman except from Kazuma's bow in here, so he probably would have been a good shout. But they're not in because, I got to give myself rules, otherwise I'd be here even longer than I am already. Philo, you got punches and stuff for regular attacks. Maybe also you can incorporate the chicken form. Let's call it that, chicken form. Either in the basic attacks, maybe she punches then transforms as a kick. Transforms back, or it could just be the special move. She turns into the chicken form and charges with like a herd. I think that would be a good idea for a special. Again, there's so many ideas. Like, these are just my opening ideas. There's probably, if I thought about it longer, there's probably a lot more I could do as well. But yeah, Philo I think would be one of the more unique characters to play. She's the transforming thing. You could really work that into the moveset really well. I'm gonna warn you, this is the show I haven't seen. Of the lot, it's that time I got reincarnated to the slime. I'm gonna watch it at some point, I promise. But yeah, this is the show I've not watched. Again, I had to include it. I'm gonna start by saying I only have one character from this because it's the one that makes it's Rimuru. It's the main character, Rimuru, because the slime form, you could do so much with that. You could do so many unique things with that. I had to talk about it. Like, I heard he eats things and he like takes on its properties. Work that into the story, work that into the game somehow. I don't know how you do it, but yeah, basic attacks, you can start in human form and similar to Philo, you can alternate between forms in its attacks. But yeah, I don't have, like I said, I don't have too much to say on this because I've not seen the show, but obvious to see just by looking at it, and you can make a good move set here. There's other characters in Slime as well. I just briefly looked through things, and they're all like different races and stuff. I'm like, you could work these in. You could easily work them into a warrior's moveset, but like I said, I don't know. I don't even know which character is which. Like, I can't put a name to the face yet, so difficult for me to give more concrete things. But I think if I'd seen it, I'd be talking about this show a lot more. But unfortunately not. So if you know Slime, leave your ideas for slimy warriors characters and what they do and stuff. I'm very curious to see other people's ideas as well. Don't go anywhere. Alright? The next one's Sword Art Online. Okay, right. So this one, there's a whole argument. We're not even getting into whether Sword Art Online is good or anything. The whole argument we're having here is Sword Art Online an Isekai? And it's a thing that's gone back and forth. Wikipedia lists it an Isekai, so I'm like, screw it. It's going to go on the list. It's fine. The other thing that I thought it should be on here for is, like it or not, Sword Art Online is very popular, and a lot of people who don't watch a lot of anime have seen it. If you put it in the game, you'll get more eyes on the game, more eyes on these other shows, and everybody wins, that's the way I'm looking at it. I do like Sword Art Online personally, but that's, it makes sense from a business standpoint for me as well. I should have also mentioned this. Don't know how likely this whole is. I don't know what the logistics about getting all these Isekai series in one game, so I'm just going by my own rules. But yeah, Sword Art Online. Start with Kirito, dual wield Kirito. He's got all the sword skills, swipes. His special would be the Starburst stream. Don't have too much to add. His alternate costumes could be his other looks. There's a lot of Sword Art Online games you could pick from inspiration from as well. So I don't have too. Yeah, this is a short one because I don't have too much to add. Similarly, I added a second character, Asuna as well. Rapier. There's no other rapier users in my notes. You could do a unique moveset with that as well. This has been a really short one. You could Mother Rosario's the special. I wish I had more to say on this one, but there's been so many Sword Art Online games that it wouldn't be treading too new ground. But I think just having them in there would get more people, to play the game. From a purely business point of view, I think it could be nothing but a good thing. Despite the argument that it might not even be an Isekai, I'm not getting involved in that. Wikipedia says it is, so let's go with what Wikipedia says. The next one is I think a really forgotten Isekai, and that's a shame. It's Log Horizon. Log Horizon, I miss it. It was one of the first Isekai. It's one of the first anime I saw. I'm actually a relatively new anime watcher. Last 5 or 6 years or so. Log Horizon was one of the first ones I watched, and I really enjoyed it at the time, and I haven't watched it since. So yeah, but I had to look up people's names for this list, so be prepared. So Log Horizon, I've got 3 characters from. Main character Shiro, sort of like a mage. There's a lot. I was looking for this. There's a lot of mages. That's one thing I would say about this. You got Ainz, Shiro. There's a couple. There's at least one coming up later. There's a couple actually. Yeah, and then you got Amelia and Ram. There's a lot of mages. Shiro, I feel like he'd be the quintessential mage, you know what I mean? The base mage. So you got Raftali, who's base swordswoman. He would be base mage. Because you got Ainz, and he's really powerful, and then you got others that specify in one element. He'd be more all round, I think. I don't know too much about. I haven't seen Log Horizon in ages, but maybe the special you could somehow work in the whole guild, because he's the leader of the Log Horizon guild. Maybe you could do something with that. Although there are other members of the guild playable, so I'm not sure how it would work in my fantasy game. Second character is Akatsuki. She's small, like a ninja type thing. I was expecting more ninjas, Maybe I couldn't find many ninjas or samurai. Is she a ninja or a samurai? I don't remember. It's fine. It gives her a unique moveset. Maybe she could appear and disappear, like in a puff of smoke. Like I said, it doesn't have to be exact to the show. I don't remember if she actually does that or not. Special wise, again, I don't remember specifically what she does, so maybe you just do a big old sword attack. This is one of the ones that I struggled with purely of my lack of memory. But you could see him doing it. The short, low to the ground swinging attacks. Yeah, I think that's a good contrast from everybody else. Third character was, and I've forgotten his name. I actually had to Google. This is the one I had to Google. Naotsugu. He's the like third of the trio. He's the less. He gets less screen time as stuff as time goes on and everything. He's a heavy armored guy with a big shield and a sword. So he's like a tank type character. Similar to I think he'd be like slower Naofumi because he's got a sword. I'd give him more defense just because he's heavily armored, but he'd be really slow, and his swings and stuff would be devastating but slow. And yeah, you got to work that into the special and stuff as well, the slowness, or maybe not the special, but the basic attacks. The special, again, I couldn't think of anything because I've not seen Log Horizon in ages. If you've got any ideas for Log Horizon specials and finishes and moves and stuff, let me know. If you've got any ideas for anything, I'll just say it now. Any ideas for anything I talk about, put it down below because I'm really interested. But yeah, Log Horizon, I feel like this section needs work in my brain, but I still wanted to share what I've got, so yeah. Right, I really considered leaving this off the list, but it just didn't feel right. Next series is No Game No Life. Hang on, friend, there's no conflict in No Game No Life. I know, and that's why it was almost off the list. I really don't think they'd be able to make this work, but I didn't want to leave them off the list. So it's one character, but technically two. And now that I've said that, you know what I'm going with. So it'd be Sora and Shiro as a 2-in-1 package. I don't know how they'd do it. I really don't. And so this is probably going to be a really short section. The final attack, the special, I don't even know how you do it. I really don't. I really wish I had more. Maybe a hydrogen bomb, like from that when they played against Jabril. This is a struggling one. This is what I struggled with for basic attacks. God, I don't know. Maybe they summon like chess pieces. It'd be really over the top, and it wouldn't really respect what they do. Maybe they're in some sort of game machine, like they're in a machine and they program it and it launches like things out. Yeah, this one is again not very well thought out, but I didn't want to leave them off the list. So yeah, this is a struggle one. They're the only ones from this series. Like other characters probably would fit better, but I couldn't really think of much for them. I didn't want to throw another character in just for the sake of, padding it out. So yeah. Next section is from I think it's fair to say less less idolized series than the rest of them. It's How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. I really enjoyed this show when it aired, and I think it was a different kind of isekai and I really enjoyed it. So from that show we have Diablo. He's the one that would get cut for being too similar to someone else. That someone else is Ainz. They're both overpowered demon type figures. So you could make their movesets different. Obviously they've got different builds and everything, both physically and stat wise. But yeah, Diablo, I really feel like everything about Ainz could apply to him as well. But I like the show and I wanted to give it a shout out, basically. Yeah, his special, I don't know what you do for the special. One of them big old explosion attacks. That's the thing with these overpowered protagonists. They typically do big explosions that could work for a final smash. I was about to say for a special attack, a Musu attack, I believe they're called in the game. Regular attacks, I forget what kind of weapon he uses. Is it a scythe? I don't remember. But you can just smack things with that. A lot of the basic attacks are just you can smack it with that. I thought about putting the heroines on this list as well, but then I was like, then you got 3 characters at least from this series, and I don't think it's big enough to warrant that. Maybe I've gone too overboard on other shows as well, but I feel like it wouldn't be right doing it for this. So up next is, I believe, the oldest anime series on this list, Familiar of Zero. Didn't register to me as an isekai at the time, believe it or not. And so from that show, we've got main character Saito. Again, he's space swordsman. I almost cut this whole series because Saito is just a swordsman, basically. I mean, you could work in other things as well. Believe the law is he can use any weapon because of his mark he's got. He can use any weapon. He's like immediately trained any weapon he picks up. So whether it's a plane, like if it's a jet plane, he knows how to fly that plane and fight with it. So maybe you could work, that would be the special. He gets in the plane and starts shooting things. Regular attacks wise, you could use the sword, maybe you could throw other weapons in there as well just to make it more interesting. But he's not the reason I put the show in. The reason I put the show in is Louise, the heroine. Her whole thing is every time she uses magic, it explodes. Not like Mega Man level massive explosions. Her explosions can range from like little explosion, but that's all she can do is explosions. So like explosion, that'll be a regular combo, and then her special will just be a big explosion. And I just think, again, this is more of a storyline reason, having her and Mega Man interacting, where she's like, oh man, I'm doing explosions, I don't want to, and then she's like, oh cool, explosions, I feel like them interacting would be really interesting, and that's the main reason that this show's got two characters, because you can't ignore the main character. But yeah, I want to watch Familiar Zero again. It's Isekai Smartphone is the next one. Okay, I really didn't want to put this on the list, I'm going to be honest, but there was a poll, it was a Crunchyroll article, and it was like, Japanese fans name the best Isekai series ever. Number 3, I believe, was Smartphone. Above ReZero, above so many things, and it makes me sad. But yeah, put Toya in their main character. Honestly, I feel like his moveset you can do a lot with. He's got the sword gun thing, he can use all the magic, use the smartphone bombing that he does, use that for the special. I think his moveset would honestly be one of the more entertaining ones, but I don't like the show, and I'm not happy talking about it. So the final series that I've got in this little list thing, we should probably wrap this up at some point, so let's get to the final series. Final series I came up with was, it's the most recent series, it's actually still airing right now as this episode is going up, and from that you probably guessed what it is, although maybe not, because there's about 17 Isekai airing. It's Ari Fureta. I know the anime is not very good, but the Hajame's guns, that would be a unique moveset, so I feel like that's got to go in. We'll start with Hajime. Hajime is the first one, the main character. Him eating the monsters, you could work that in somehow, like have him maybe eat enemies and he gets like health back or powered up, stuff like that. The guns, as I said, they're a more unique thing. You got like the rail gun he had. It's the first 5 episodes of aired, just to, if stuff shows up later on, I'm not talking about it. Only 5 episodes have aired so far. But yeah, just the gun, that's more unique. I mean, I know that Toya has a gun that we talked about, and that's why I considered not putting him in, because I'd rather have Hajime than Toya. But yeah, I feel like, and also story-wise, him and Naofumi interacting, talking about how they've been betrayed, what their edginess going up against each other. I feel like that would work great. Special-wise, the railgun would be the special. The guns, pew pew pew, be the regular attacks. Yeah, it would work. I actually did put Yue. Yue's on the list as well, because she's a vampire and interacting with Shoutist, story reasons. Special would be the big blue orb thing. Basic attacks, we haven't really seen her do much basic attacks. That's really all she's done is that. I assume she has some other magic as well, so maybe that could be the basic attacks. But yeah, a fly just hit me in the face. Leave that in the camera. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what this trademark leads to. Watch it not lead to anything, and this video will just remain here as a record of my foolishness. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it here, because this video's been really long. It was longer than I expected. Thank you everybody who stuck around till the end. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to this channel, and then I do reviews of stuff as well on a review channel, including Ari Fureta, which I talked about today. Isn't it a fun show? Isn't it really good? It's not. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I will see you in the next time, and bye guys.